Hey, my name is Vaughn, and right now I am learning to speak Chinese. And one of the things I do to help me learn Chinese is watch Chinese television programs, which always gives me some new insight into Chinese language and culture. Today I'm going to talk about a Chinese television show called Swordsman. It's sort of this kung fu fantasy thing that takes place in some nondescript time in China's past. Everybody in China just knows all these characters. If you say Dongfang Bubai, they immediately know who it is. On Fei Chang Wu Rao, there was a male contestant who came on and he sort of compared all the female contestants to different characters.
原来你这么重的口味。我是来找任盈盈的，但是我选新种女士，我没有发现谁像任盈盈，只好选了一个像东方不败。
It sort of reminds me of Star Wars here, because everybody knows all the characters in Star Wars. Swordsman was published in newspapers in Hong Kong in the late 1960s. So like Star Wars, it's a fairly new concept. But also like Star Wars, the story has been made into many different modified versions with the different characters. And by that I mean something like, everybody knows Batman, but Dark Knight Batman is different from 1960s television series Batman. So with Swordsman, you get the characters in all kinds of different stories that have come out in China at different times. Basically what it is there's all these factions, and everybody sort of knows Kung Fu and has like a different style that they use. They use paintbrushes to fight, they use Chinese chessboards to fight, they use musical instruments to fight, they fly on umbrellas. You have a lot of different characters in this, and one of the most popular is Dongfang Bubai. And Dongfang Bubai is a member of the Sun Moon Holy Cult, and of course castrates himself and sort of becomes this she-male type character. You have to castrate yourself to know badass Kung Fu. I was sort of confused because it was clearly a woman playing the part, and they were always referring to her in like a male gender
东方兄弟
sometimes, and then a female gender sometimes. But it turns out later you found out she was a female posing as a male, but in other versions it's a male who castrates himself to learn this really badass kung fu. The main character is this guy Ling Hu Chong, and he's sort of a drunk. He loves to drink, and all the women love him. The whole vibe sort of reminds me of the 80s. If you were a cool dude in the 80s, you had a trench coat and little cut-off gloves and a big belt, maybe a little ponytail. And that's sort of Li Hu Chong. Could have easily joined an 80s pop band, no problem. So what have I learned from watching this? Well, one thing that you see is there's a tremendous sense of duty and responsibility in the characters. They're all very beholden to their elders or their leaders. Even if something is totally wrong, they always have to follow what their leaders say. If Ling Hu Chong is offered the hand of the beautiful Sun Moon Holy Cult's daughter, he must go back and protect the Buddhist nuns because he promised that. The other thing I found is interesting is the amount of imagination and wonder, and a lot of interesting sets and costumes. And as I said, it reminded me a lot of the 1980s with the different colors and the, men wearing makeup. If you want to know another thing that everyone in China is familiar with, story-wise and character-wise, it's worth giving Xiao Aojiang a look.